23. A convenient religion. It is more convenient, they say, to be a Protestant than a Catholic, and true it is, just as true as it is a great deal easier to yield to one's passions than to restrain them. But the difference is that, in fact of religion, we must not look for that which is the easiest, but for that which is true and will lead to God. A certain parson once gained over to his sect a good woman who had allowed herself to be influenced by his assertions. She was very assiduous at the meeting-house. Most regularly did she take her little siesta during the sermon on Sunday, took great care of the ponderous Bible she had received and never opened it, lest she spoil it. In a word, she gave evident proofs that she had become a good Protestant. Her religious fervour urged her also to become a member of the famous Protestant Pence and of 2 or 3 Bible societies. The good woman spent several years in this easy piety, and she congratulated herself every day on her good luck of enjoying such sweet life which her pastor assured her was the pure gospel, free from the unpleasant duty of going to confession on the recurrence of great festivals, receiving communion with certain very particular preparations, abstaining on Fridays, and of being obedient to her parish priest. In the midst of all this evangelical happiness, which was enhanced by the little presents and various tracts she received from the minister and some deaconess, the poor creature was all at once taken down by sickness. A reader was appointed to visit her and read psalms and other passages of which she understood very little, in fact, no more than the zealous reader himself. She grew worse, and her physician let out expressions which were very far from warranting her recovery. In the presence of death, and at the approach of the judgment of God, the poor woman shuddered and seriously thought of her chances. At that light which does not deceive, she began to feel that she had gone astray from the faith. She begged of a neighbour to bring to her without delay the priest of the parish, a good and worthy clergyman whom she had known long ago, and whom her apostasy had grieved to the heart. He found her in tears, consoled her as well as he could, and made her both aware of the enormity of her sin and confident in the infinite mercy of God. She made her confession and was reconciled with our Saviour. Then he administered to her extreme unction, the sacrament that brings so much comfort to the dying, which she had lately been taught to laugh at, but the importance and efficacy whereof she at this moment understood well. Lastly, he carried to her the Holy Viaticum, that most holy and most adorable mystery within which Jesus Christ veils himself in order that we may approach and he may fortify us at the end of our journey. Having made her peace with God and with her soul, the poor woman felt happy and already looked without fear to the moment of her entering into eternity. On the evening of the same day, the Protestant minister calls on the sick woman. He had just heard of the priest's visit, and he could not believe what he called a scandalous defection, a shame to the pure gospel, a falling back upon the superstitions of Babylon. In fact, what vexed him most was the talk of the neighborhood, as inferences would be made in disparagement of the pure gospel and hurtful to the susceptibilities of the reverend pastor. Accordingly, he expostulated in strong terms with the sick woman, reminding her of the courage with which she had before rejected all such mummeries, and those errors which she ought to have never again adopted. "Ah, sir," replied the good woman, "all this was very good when I was well. Your religion is a very one to live in, but very hard to die in. C'est bien commode pour vivre, mais c'est le diable pour mourir." She felt, the brave woman, that with that simple expression she had placed her finger on the sore spot of Protestantism. Now, a system of religion which only aims at being easy in practice and discards whatever may prove irksome in the service of God cannot be the true religion, the religion that leads to heaven. Protestantism is very convenient to live in, hence it is so horrible to die in it. Protestantism is easy, and hence it is false. It is not the religion of him who said, "How narrow is the gate and strait is the way that leadeth to life," from which words we have to conclude that we must then struggle to enter that gate and to strike upon that way. Protestantism, a pretended Christianity, without obedience to faith, without obedience to the authority of the Church, without confession, without Eucharist, and without sacrifice, without works of penance, without practices of obligation, is condemned by that gospel whose name it so often usurps. And it is not condemned by Jesus Christ when the divine Master adds those terrible words, "Wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction,